It all began with a confirmation. Not a rumor, not a leaked image, not a blurry screenshot circulating endlessly on social media. This was something official, undeniable, and immediate. Pierre was officially confirmed as a father. And just like that, the entire digital landscape shifted. What had previously been speculation transformed into concrete reality, and what had once existed only as whispers suddenly became headlines dominating timelines. But that wasn't the part that truly shook social media. The part that sent shockwaves through fans, followers, and commentators alike was the timing. Because this confirmation didn't arrive during a moment of public joy, celebration, or romantic fanfare. No, it arrived after the split, after the silence, after Teyana Taylor and Pierre had already gone their separate ways. And just when people believed they understood the narrative, Teyana spoke out. Let's rewind for a moment. For weeks, perhaps even months, there had been subtle signs. Fans, after all, are modern detectives, and the internet has long arms when it comes to connecting dots. A missing photo here, a cryptic caption there, a shift in tone during interviews, a quiet unfollow. It doesn't take much for the online world to start speculating. And when it comes to celebrity relationships, those speculative dots are often drawn in bold, indelible ink. People began noticing that Teyana and were appearing less frequently together. Social media interactions slowed to a trickle. Public sightings became rare. Soon enough, the speculation began in earnest. Were they still together? Was something happening behind closed doors? The answers weren't clear, but the conversation had taken on momentum all its own. Then came the whispers of baby news. At first, it was subtle chatter. Small forums dissecting timelines, a handful of fan accounts suggesting that something significant had occurred quietly, out of public view. Nothing verified. Nothing concrete. Yet, in the modern age, speculation often travels faster than confirmation. Once the idea had been planted, it began to grow organically. Every social media post became potential evidence. Every public appearance became a clue. Was a private announcement imminent? Was there a quiet celebration happening somewhere beyond the public eye? The mystery intensified because neither nor Teyana addressed it directly. And in celebrity culture, silence often speaks louder than words. When the official confirmation finally arrived, that Pierre was indeed a father, the internet paused, even if just for a second, before erupting. Congratulations poured in from all corners. Shockwaves reverberated across timelines. Some fans expressed genuine happiness for celebrating the joy of new life. Others, however, were stunned by the timing. By that point, the split between him and Teyana Taylor had already been publicly acknowledged. And that is precisely where the narrative became complex. People weren't just reacting to newfound fatherhood. They were reacting to context, timing, and perceived storylines. Suddenly, every unanswered question from the preceding weeks felt heavier. The public's response was layered, nuanced, and often contradictory. On one side, supporters celebrated the blessings of fatherhood, emphasizing that life-changing moments like this are worth celebrating regardless of the surrounding circumstances. On the other side, critics scrutinized the timeline, questioning what it meant for the relationship that had recently ended. Was the split connected to the news of the baby? Or was it purely coincidental? Had the relationship already ended long before the public announcement, making the timing an unfortunate juxtaposition? Social media, as always, waited for no one. It created its own threads and narratives, exploding with theories. TikTok creators dissected possible timelines. Comment sections on Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit filled with speculation. Amid all this digital activity, Teyana remained quiet, at least for a little while. But then she wasn't. When Teyana finally broke her silence after the split, the tone of the entire conversation shifted. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't messy. There were no bitter accusations or dramatic confrontations. Instead, she spoke with clarity, control, and strength. That is precisely what surprised so many people. In an online world that often braces for conflict and chaos, audiences expect tears, shade, or outrage. Instead, Teyana delivered composure. She spoke about personal growth, inner peace, and moving forward. She didn't offer details fans were desperate to dissect. She didn't confirm or deny every circulating rumor. What she did do, however, was reframe the narrative entirely. She positioned herself not as a victim, not as someone blindsided by circumstances, but as a woman choosing dignity over spectacle. That choice, that act of self-possession, transformed the emotional weight of the story. Now the tale was no longer just about fatherhood. It wasn't only about a breakup. It became about perception, resilience, and the ability to navigate deeply personal transitions under the unforgiving gaze of the public eye. The internet thrives on extremes, on outrage, confrontation, and emotional volatility. But Teyana's measured response refused to feed that appetite. Instead, she offered maturity, prompting many to reconsider their perspective. Some praised her strength, recognizing the difficulty of remaining composed in the face of speculation and judgment. Others wondered if there were hidden layers to the story, questions that remained untold. Yet almost everyone recognized one undeniable truth: she handled herself with grace. Even so, the speculation engine continued to churn. Fans dissected every word, searching for hidden meaning. What exactly did she mean by growth? Was there subtle commentary embedded in her phrasing? Social media, after all, thrives on reading between lines, even when no lines exist. Meanwhile, Pierre's confirmation of fatherhood continued to dominate discussions. Interviews were analyzed endlessly. Public appearances were examined frame by frame. Body language analysts emerged seemingly overnight, offering interpretations on timelines, gestures, and facial expressions. What began as facts slowly morphed into a spectrum of subjective interpretation. This scenario also highlights a broader truth about celebrity relationships. Once two public figures are together, their lives become content. Their happiness becomes entertainment. Their struggles become headlines. Their intimate milestones are consumed as spectacle, regardless of personal preference. So when that union ends, particularly around a major life event like the arrival of a child, audiences feel entitled to answers. They demand explanations, narrative coherence, and closure. Yet, as any observer knows, life rarely unfolds along neat timelines. Events overlap in ways that can feel messy or uncomfortable, without necessarily being scandalous. What made this particular story so captivating wasn't a public fight or a dramatic exposé. It was the ambiguity. There was no viral meltdown, no chaotic confrontation, no sensationalist livestream. Just confirmation, a breakup, and Teyana's composed response. And in many ways, that very restraint amplified the intrigue. Without obvious chaos to focus on, audiences turned to possibilities. Was the split amicable? Planned? Had Aaron known about fatherhood privately long before the confirmation became public? The questions multiplied, fueled by limited clarity. Discussions also began to touch on societal double standards. Observers noted that fatherhood announcements are often met with unconditional celebration, whereas women in similar situations frequently face harsher scrutiny. Commentary expanded beyond Aaron and Teyana alone, encompassing broader issues of fame, privacy, accountability, and public perception. Timing, of course, plays a pivotal role in celebrity news. Had the fatherhood confirmation come months before the split, reactions might have differed dramatically. Had the split occurred much later, the narratives may have remained separate. But because these two events occurred in close proximity, they became intrinsically linked in the public's eye. Once headlines intertwine in this manner, they are difficult to untangle in collective memory. Teyana's statement added an entirely new emotional dimension. She emphasized independence, personal evolution, and the importance of maintaining peace. No biternizerfist. No emotional spirals dominated her words. Her control conveyed a powerful message. Whatever occurred behind closed doors, she was choosing forward movement over public conflict. Of course, this doesn't imply emotions weren't involved. Breakups, especially after deep personal investment, are rarely simple. Yet Teyana refused to let speculation define her narrative. Meanwhile, Aaron faced a different kind of pressure. Fatherhood is a celebrated milestone, yes, but it also carries immense responsibility. When such confirmation enters the public domain during a relationship transition, scrutiny intensifies. Fans and followers don't just offer congratulations. They evaluate, they compare timelines, and they probe motivations. It's the nature of modern celebrity culture. Every major life update becomes fodder for public debate. The tone of the internet is notoriously volatile. One day, audiences are in shock. The next, they are celebrating. Then comes analysis, fatigue, and renewed interest triggered by new interviews, posts, or statements. Stories no longer progress linearly. They pulse, surge, and resurface repeatedly. This narrative contains all the elements to maintain prolonged attention. Love, separation, new life, composed public statements, and unanswered questions. At its core, however, this story is about two people navigating profound life changes under constant scrutiny. Teyana Taylor has built her career on resilience, artistry, and self-reinvention. Her speaking out after the split was entirely consistent with her public persona: controlled, thoughtful, intentional. She didn't give the internet the drama it expected. She offered maturity. In a culture addicted to conflict, composure is in itself a form of shock. Pierre stepping into fatherhood represents a new chapter in his life. Regardless of public reaction, this transition is significant. And yet, amidst online debates, that fundamental truth is often overlooked. Real life continues beyond headlines. Babies don't trend, they grow. Relationships don't end on social media. They dissolve privately long before the world hears anything. Yet the public seeks narrative closure. What came first? What caused what? And whether one event triggered the other. Often, the truth is simply complicated, not dramatic. This story is compelling precisely because it is layered. There were no public meltdowns or confrontations, only confirmation, a split, and a composed response. Yet the conversation continues. Every subsequent interview, appearance, and life update will inevitably be interpreted through this lens. Once a narrative reaches this stage, it becomes embedded in public memory. Perception shapes legacy. Teyana Taylor. Aaron stepped publicly into fatherhood. The internet chose speculation. Reality, however, likely exists somewhere quieter than the headlines suggest. This moment marks a transition, illustrating how private milestones can quickly become public spectacle. Fame doesn't shield, it magnifies. While the initial headlines may fade, the narrative lingers, evolving long after the online noise quiets. In the end, this story is not merely about a celebrity becoming a parent or a relationship ending. It is about perception, dignity, timing, and the navigation of life's intimate moments. Under scrutiny, it's about how silence can speak volumes, how composure can redefine a story, and how humanity persists behind the glare of public attention. Pierre stepping into fatherhood and Teyana Taylor responding with poise is not just a tale of modern celebrity. It is a testament to resilience, narrative control, and the complexity of life under the spotlight. Ultimately, the narrative is layered, evolving, and ongoing. Even as fans speculate, timelines are debated, and commentary continues, the reality of fatherhood and personal growth endures quietly, beyond social media threads. This moment, marked by both confirmation and composure, serves as a reminder that life rarely conforms to neat timelines, public expectations, or online speculation. In celebrity culture, clarity is rare, and maturity even rarer. Yet here, we witnessed both. A father stepping into a new role and a woman reclaiming her narrative with quiet strength.